defeat Putin. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
We came, we saw, he died.
We both agree that Assad needs to go.
You know, fuck the EU.
And we are live on the wrong scene, of course. Nothing could, if everything worked fine, there would not be a good stream today. And yeah, today we're going to have a great guest, Dr. Dragana Trifković, who is an engineer and has a PhD in, and I lost here, but it's, let me find it where I wrote it. It's, yeah, so I messed up. I'm sorry, Dr. Trifković, I'm going to bring you to the screen because I messed up my notes. It's been a crazy morning. How are you doing, Dr. Trifković?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I'm in Moscow right now, and it's everything is fine. We have a lot of conferences here and meetings, diplomatic meetings, different, so a lot of work, but it's good. Thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. So it was important for me to find that because that was one of the things that called a lot of my attention. Your studies on terrorism and
Yes.
and these we were just chatting 2 minutes ago. And that was a key point for me on this interview. Of course, I want to talk about St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, but when I saw this called my attention because you're Serbian and today you live between Belgrade and Moscow, where you teach and you also write articles and you have 2 books that I'll have the names in the description as well. But we were talking about that because I was explaining who am I. I am an IT guy. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm not supposed to be a journalist. And as you saw, I'm not a great one as well. But at some point, I just got, completely angered about how these people mess with our lives. I was living in Brazil and they were messing with Brazil. And then I moved to Europe. We run away from the problems and then the problems follow us to Europe again. And this was what called me the attention. I mean, you graduated in engineering and then you went to studying terrorism and all that. Of course, being a Serbian, there should be a great reason for that. So could we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, for sure. I will say at the beginning that I lead Center for Geostrategic Studies in Serbia, which is the big center. We have around 60 cooperators around the world in Africa, Latin America, Europe, Russia, in China as well, India. So it's very nice to have cooperators in different countries, and then you can speak with the people and realize what is happening. And I will say that you are a good journalist because if I compare you with these professional journalists who are really professional if you watch them, but it's very problematic what they are doing because they are spreading disinformations, and this is not professional at all. So I researched this as well. So we started to speak about the motivation. Yes, I'm the engineer, and my dream was to become the engineer, and I like this very much because in engineering, as you know, everything is very in order. Everything is clear. It's not like philosophy. It can be, but it is to be or not to be, or something like this. And I like this precision and everything in order. But at the same time, I was involved in the policy from my 15s, from very young years. And I was also active in the political party. I was in parliament. I'm now in the so-called public diplomacy, yes. And I'm now leading this NGO, independent NGO, Center for Geostrategic Studies. So I have these two parallel worlds. But my motivation, yes, we speak about why I started to research terrorism as well. Yes, I finished the master in the terrorism and organized crime in the Belgrade University. My motivation was, I said that from my 15th I started to be interested in policy, because in that time, we are speaking about early 19th in Yugoslavia, that was the former Yugoslavia. Then the problems started in my country. The demonstrations, some political problems, and before this, when I was in the basic school, in that time in Yugoslavia everything was in order, and in that time Yugoslavia was the America for America. But in one moment everything started to be very bad, and I wanted to know the reason why that started to happen. So this is why I started to research, and basically from internal side, I mean internal policy, and after this in the, I may say, global policy, because if you want to understand the reasons for wars, for economic problems in one country, then you need to understand the global management or global policy and international policy as well. So I wanted to know what is the reason, and I wanted to know the mechanisms, how some structures can control economy in other countries, how they control psychologically as well, and by medias, the society, how they can destroy one society and have a big influence, how they can organize special operations or the coups when they don't like some governments, and so on. So that was my motivation, and it was 30 years ago, and I can say that now I understand a lot. Especially that I have also a lot of knowledge in the technical science, and also in the strategic management, for example, which is very important to understand this everything.
Exactly. This is we had several guests from worldwide, and most of the people that were from former Soviet Union, they always say the same thing, that everything was good, everything, and plus I have friends, Russian friends, also other Serbian friends. We had here every now and then we have here Nebojša Malić, who works for RT. He's Bosnian and living in Serbia. So all of them, they tell me more or less the same thing, which kind of makes me believe all of them. And as you said, everything was great, and just like that, it was not anymore. So it was really a collapse that it's hard to define. Life is great, and then the next day you don't know how you're going to survive anymore, or things like that. And I perceived these when all this started in Ukraine. I mean, I wasn't watching a complete collapse. I was watching a decline of the West, but a slow decline. And when all this started in Ukraine, it just looked like they put full gear ahead to the decline, and they are on the way for collapsing, more or less the same way as the Soviet Union. That's what scares me, because everything is fine, but
Yes.
we don't know if tomorrow it's going to be anymore. So yeah, when I started this project, I was thinking about bringing as many people worldwide to bring perspectives and ideas and knowledge and data, everyday data. So how was this is a curiosity for me? How was it, leaving the moment of the collapse and then seeing the country being destroyed? Because as a Serbian, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you were born in Yugoslavia, actually.
Yes.
But being a Yugoslavian at the moment, how was seeing this? And I'm sorry, I know we were supposed to talk about St. Petersburg, but a little bit later. And this is a personal curiosity. How was seeing the country collapse and being destroyed by foreign forces, divided as wish? How was living through this period?
Well,
Yeah.
in some way it was interesting. I mean, in everything you can find something good, even in very bad things. What is good that was that I find a way to improve myself, to learn more, to develop my experience and opportunities. So this is the good part, because something totally when everything was in order, as you said, and in one moment you see that everything is collapsing. This is a motivation for you that you need like a person to do something, to react. And for me, for myself, that was a good motivation for my future. But of course, I need to say that it was really terrible. There was disaster. Not only living with this, to seeing what when everything is collapsed, the criminality is getting very high. You cannot freely go out to walk on the street at the night. Even before you could sleep at the park at night, but in one moment everything was changed, and the economic system is collapsing, and society is getting disordered totally. The lot of propaganda. But for me, the most bad moment was how this international or mainstream medias presented us Serbian people like very bad people, terrorists, and that in the same time you are sacrificed, and you're someone is making PR that you are not one who is in the bad position and who is attacked, and no, you are the problem, you are the terrorist, you are making the problem, and you know that it's not like that. And for me, it was a good motivation to fight for the truth, because I mean, the Serbian people, like Russians, they have really special sense for the truth, for the justice. And yes, I was very motivated for this moment to fight for the truth. And when this, I will add also about the Ukraine, when this situation in Ukraine started, started, it was very easy for me to understand what is happening because I have this experience from Yugoslavia. But not only for me, I need to say, for a lot of Serbian people, because we really understand it and we clearly see, okay, they organized the special operation Bucha, but it was the same scenario like in Racak, in Kosovo, and totally the same mechanism. When they don't want investigation to find out the proofs, what is wrong, who is the responsible for this? No, they don't want. They started immediately propaganda in medias, and also they started attacking only one side in this conflict. I mean, in Yugoslavia, it was Serbian people. We were guilty for everything, and in Ukraine, it's Russia. So it's the same, literally same. The mechanism. We speak already that I wanted to investigate how they create conflicts, and if you read this Huntington book, The Clash of Civilization, you can find a lot of there, because it's not just a book. I mean, it's doctrine, The Clash of Civilization. If you create the problems, the wars, for some structures, some global structures can find something good in this, and can find the way to develop some their platforms maybe. So yes, it's good to compare Ukraine and Yugoslavia, or Yugoslavia and Soviet Union, or even you can compare the Palestine, you can compare the problems in the Latin America states and in Africa as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we try. Well, one that's important for me to bring here to the channel is to Brazilian people, of course. So, and Portuguese-speaking people in a general way, but more for Brazilians, especially because we've been through a type of an attempt color revolution that kind of worked. The problem is that Brazil is too big. It's too big to fail, as they used to say. So there is the need, as Russia as China. So there is the need to, chop in small pieces, and they try this every day. I mean, you go now at this moment to Twitter and you search for new Brazilian map or something like that. You're going to see the same things that you see with Russia, the Russia being balkanized. You're going to see about Brazil. Well, this region should be called this. And people think this is, many people think, oh, this is just a meme. This is just stupid. No, it's a plan.
Yes.
And it's there. We start to see this being developed in the mind of people. We start to see the development, as we usually say here. The reality doesn't matter. What matters is the perception of reality. And
yes, the people are creating the future and the reality as well. We know this like in engineers very well. So yes, I totally agree. And I think that no matter Brazil is a very big country, but Soviet Union was a big country as well. So they don't care really. They use the same mechanisms everywhere. And I think that Balkanization, it's a not good term. It's a term which they designed this term. I think we should use term Londonization maybe, because
perhaps, yeah.
you find out, yes, if you research, you will find everywhere something from London. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's just,
No, it was like more like joke, not really. I wasn't so, yes.
So we've been through this part. This was very enlightening. Thank you for sharing that. So let's pivot a little bit for business as usual. The St. Petersburg International Forum. I mean, it was interesting for me that this year I didn't see a very strong smearing campaign from the West. Well, I didn't notice, at least. Perhaps I have closed myself in the right bubble at this moment. but yet there was also not much talked about at all. They pretend it didn't happen. And last year and the years before, they've been always mirroring like, oh, this is just some guys getting together to chat and stuff like that. Nobody's going, no countries are going, no important countries. They mean Europe and the United States. No important countries are going. They have to get together with these third country countries and stuff like that, third world countries. Really smearing, and I use the term that they use to smear, of course. But in the other hand, I see a very vibrant event. So I would like to understand your impressions from the events. What are your takings from it?
Yes, it's very important to speak about the business and economic development in this moment because we are aware that this global economic system, which existed in the past, is not working anymore, and things are radically changing. So it's very important to understand this and also to involve a lot of different people to help to build a new system, because I think that we all need to build a new system, and the past is not working anymore. So if we speak about the economic forum in Russia, in St. Petersburg, Russia have few economic forums, 4 exactly. One is in St. Petersburg, second is in Moscow, the third is in East, in Vladivostok usually, and fourth is at Crimea. So we don't have, in this year and the past years, we didn't have economic forum in Crimea because of the situation there, and Crimea is under attack all the time by drones and rockets, and Ukrainian side is but it's also the problem because the West is sending the weapon to Ukraine, and they are sending more and more rockets with a big distance, so they are targeting Crimea. But let's return to the economic forum. So economic forum in St. Petersburg is the one of the most important economic forums in Russia. And every year you can find a lot of people there, representatives from different countries, and also the big companies, very important companies. As you said, in this year, I didn't find there a lot of companies from the West, but also if you look at the Russian policy now, Russian strategic policy is to develop the relation inside the BRICS. With the Latin American countries, with the African countries, and Asian as well. So they literally don't care about Europe anymore. If you come to Moscow and try to speak something about Europe, the situation in Europe, policy, and so on, you cannot find a lot of people who are interested in this topic, really. So the focus now for Russia is Africa, Asia, Latin America. It's very important. And there was about 136, as I read it, representatives from 136 countries, basically from Asia, Latin America, and Africa. So this economic forum in St. Petersburg, it's forum, I'm not so sure. I think from 2006 this forum exists, but I'm not sure really. But in the past years, this economic forum was also very important for these liberal structures, and even liberal structures in Russia created this forum, and. Forum was made for Western investors. But now the things are also changing inside Russia. As I said, they don't care about the West investors anymore. So basically, this forum now is very important for creating the economic relations in the side BRICS countries, strategic economic connections with China, with India as well, with Brazil as well, with big countries. And also for supporting the domestic economy. In Russia, in the domestic policies to support the domestic industry. Because, as we mentioned before, the Soviet economy was totally destroyed, and Russia in 90s was in this transition period, perestroika, I guess. But it was very harmful for the Russian economy. And in that time, we can hear from this US and EU that Russia is improving, developing democracy, and so on, but really it's not the real situation in that time. In that time, Russia was in house, in mess. We destroyed the economy, and now what is happening, when they impose these old sanctions for Russia, I mean, Western countries, US, EU, we have now 70 package for Russian sanctions. The Russians decided that this is enough. This is enough. We try to create the good cooperation with Western countries for the last 20, 30 years, but they don't want this. And the problem is that they didn't want to allow Russia to integrate in this Western-centric global system. Especially in economic system. What they wanted is to destroy the Russian economy and to be someone who will really rule in Russia. Who will have the power in the economical field and every field. So this is the basically problem why we have the conflict now between East and West. So the Russia decided this is enough. You don't want to cooperate. You don't want to agree that Russia we have our own interests. And state interests and people's interests, so you don't want to allow this. So we will cut all relations, or we don't care about the cooperation with West anymore. We will develop cooperation with this country who agreed to cooperate by improving positions of both countries, of both sides. And this is what is now happening. And at the same time, the focus, yes, we said already, is on developing the relations between inside the BRICS. Basically, so yes, it's affecting also these liberal structures in Russia as well, and they are also changing their positions and their views. Because Russia, I mean, 30 years and even more, for decades, they developed these elites who were very who were based on the cooperation.
Westernized.
Yes, westernized totally, and only they want to cooperate with the Western countries, with the EU and US, and now they are changing their positions as well, because they understand that this policy, it's over with this policy now.
Yeah, elites, people usually have a concept that elites, they prefer to be Western. No, they like money. And if money is in China, who cares about Europe?
Yes, I agree totally. Yes, yes. They don't have but it's a sad story because the people are not. We are engineers, but we know that the people are not robots. So you need to have some ideologically views. You need to have some wishes because you're a human being. You're not only if you only care about the material things, who are you then? The robot, or I don't know, it's for me, I cannot understand this position. Okay, I will support all the time something what is right. I mean, if tomorrow I see someone in Washington who is doing good things, I will support him, or in Brazil, in Africa, everywhere. But this is the main point. You cannot support something because someone will give you the money. It's not good way. The way they dehumanize the people.
And that's why we don't get rich. Well, filthy rich.
But we are rich. We are rich.
We are rich inside.
Maybe we don't have money and bank accounts, but we have the soul and the life. This is what makes people rich.
I fully agree. I fully agree with you on that. So let's pivot a little bit because I understand you have an appointment just after here, and so I'll try to keep inside that timing. But I see that, and I want as well, but I see that you want to touch upon Ukraine a little bit. So let's talk about Ukraine a little bit, especially Crimea and the situation in the Donbass. I mean, I have here, Lucas Leroy's, I have Andrea Lucidi here every now and then, and other people on the ground that talk about it. But I would like to understand your perspective from, as you mentioned, and I think that's very important, the similarities with what happened in Yugoslavia and what brings the situation to this position, and of course, how do you see the situation now and from now on?
Yes, what we can say about the Ukraine, too many similarities. Of course, as they supported the Albanian nationalism and they supported the Albanian even terrorism, extremism, also the Croatian extremism and nationalism and the Islamic as well in the former Yugoslavia, because they were all against the Serbs and they all wanted to cooperate with US, and US everywhere finds someone who can use even no matter he's terrorist, okay, but he's useful for us. So it's the same way like they find and supported this extremist national militarism and nationalism in Ukraine, these Azov battalions, these neo-Nazis, the Banderas. They don't care. They really don't care. No matter it's very wrong to support this, but it's useful for them because they are fighting with Russia through Ukraine, through this nationalism, through these Azov battalions and so on. So yes, they are also using, we said, the same mechanism manipulation in the media. So in the mainstream media, you can find only one side of the story, that Russia is aggressor, that Russia is guilty, that Russia attacked Ukraine. But the truth is not, it's not true. The truth is totally different, because first time I visited the war zone in Ukraine in 2014 in November. So I saw with my eyes the same thing they was doing in Yugoslavia. I mean, the military attacks the civilians in Donbass. And in the Yugoslavia, for example, there was that Croatian military, formal military, paramilitary groups, which was supported by US and also supported with these Blackwater and private military American companies. They attacked the civilians, Serbs who live in Croatia. And also we had the same example in Kosovo and Metohija, the Serbian region, where the terrorists attacked the civilians. So I saw that regular Ukraine army attacked their own civilians in the East Ukraine in that time, and they really bombed the schools and kindergartens and so on. And I speak in that time with the people, normal people in the Lugansk, for example, and then some villages around the Lugansk, and I asked what is happening, and they were really surprised and in shock that they said we are attacked by our own military, our own army, our own state. But then I started to speak with them about Yugoslavia and the war in Yugoslavia, and I asked them, do you remember when they organized some special operations in Yugoslavia, like Merkale in Sarajevo and Račak at Kosovo? They said, no, we don't know about this. So I realized that Ukraine, the people know about the NATO aggression in 1999, but they didn't know this. They are not details, but for them that was details, like this informations about the special operations, how they use medias. They didn't know this. So I realized that for these global structures who are creating the conflicts, it's very important to separate the people. Don't allow people to be together, to speak like we speak now, to speak together, to understand each other, to ask people what was that, why, to analyze together. They didn't want to allow, because in that case their projects are failed and they cannot manipulate the people. Yes, the same situation we have now. In the time when there was the war in Yugoslavia, I already said the US and UK and this global structure supported Croatia, supported Albanians and Muslims as well. So they are now supporting the Ukrainians against Russians. In that time also they bring a lot of weapons to these Albanians, Croatians and Muslims. Now they are giving the weapon to Ukrainians as well. So I speak about these similarities in the UN Security Council 2 years ago. And it's totally the same case, the same mechanism. They are supporting only one side by weapon, by media, by logistic as well, by money, by everything. They are doing now in Ukraine, they were doing this in Yugoslavia as well. And as we can see, they are saying Russia is aggressor, but after 8 years that Russian-speaking people in Ukraine were under attack, Russia decided, so this is enough. This is enough, we need to react. After 8 years. And yes, we can hear now that Russia don't want peace, they don't want agreement, but it's also not the true, because Russia signed the Minsk agreement, but Ukraine didn't want to, they needed war. We heard after this from Merkel, for example, that they signed this agreement only to because they wanted a stronger army in Ukraine, which can fight Russia. So it's not true that Russia don't want the peace. I think that Russia and China as well, and Brazil and this Latin American country, Serbia as well, we all want to peace. We all want peace. But the problem is that these global structures, which are totally insane, they don't want to peace, because when it's a peace, they are losing their games, they are losing their conflict, their games, manipulations, making money on this, on conflicts and so on, weaponize the countries, and then making the wars and so on. They are losing their main mechanism for their dirty games. And yes, I'm in contact with the people from Crimea, from Belgorod, for example, which is the Russian city near Ukrainian border. I was there in the November last year. And also with the people in Donbass. So I recently speak with them, and I asked it, is it now the better situation, for example, in Belgorod, because we have this Russian offensive on Kharkov, and Kharkov is the center from which they are attacking the Russian cities like Kursk and Belgorod. They said, no, it's not, it's even worse, because the Americans and the British are sending more and more weapons and rockets with which they can attack these cities like Belgorod and other Crimea cities at Crimea with these rockets. So yes, this is situation now. And yes, can mention also that they organize some discussion about achieving the peace recently in Switzerland, yes, but without Russia. How is possible?
Come on, let's not even go there. It's not worth your time.
You're right. Yes.
No, but one thing that you mentioned that 2 years ago you've been to the UN Council to denounce all the practices that were the same that they were used in Yugoslavia, and now just this week I was perhaps I'm going to call also Nebojša Malić, as I mentioned, to talk about this, because this called a lot of my attention. The recent resolution about Srebrenica.
Yes.
And as you were talking about Yugoslavia, this popped to my mind. You see, I'm a terrible journalist. I have no structure. Things just go flowing as they happen. And I had a plan. I didn't follow. That's my everyday life here. But how do you perceive this attempt? Why this resolution now? How do you see why they're doing this now? What called my attention was exactly the reaction of Vučić, who basically burst in tears there, and that was very emotional for me to see a head of state to act like that. It's hard to see a head of state breaking down like that. And the impression I had when I saw his face, I'm not a sociologist or anything, or a therapeutic analyst or anything, but from what I seen people's reaction during my life, the reaction that I saw in his face was tears of, hate and despair. Why they're doing this, why they're bringing this to my country, why they're bringing war to my country. So I would like to understand if you had something to follow on this situation. How do you perceive this? Why did they do that? Why they are doing this?
Yeah, I can clearly understand why they are doing this. Before this, there was initiative from the Russian side in the UN Security Council. There was the 25th anniversary of the NATO bombing of Serbia, and they wanted to organize discussion on this topic to discuss why the NATO decided without decision of UN Security Council to bomb one country in Central Europe. What was the reason why they wanted this? So they didn't want to allow this discussion. The France was against this, and the US as well. They said this is this is the history. It was 25 years ago. This is not important now. Why you want to speak about this now? It's over. We don't need to speak about this. It's part of our history and so on. But a few weeks after this, they decided to organize the voting about this resolution on so-called genocide in Srebrenica in the UN Assembly. And why they decided this? We need to understand that US, or we can say these global structures, they are using US as well and people in the United States as well. So these global structures have the two main projects in the Balkans. One is so-called independent Kosovo, and the second is the unification of Bosnia. We have this Dayton Agreement, which was agreed, and this agreement stopped the war in Bosnia between the Bosnians and Serbs and Croatians. And this Bosnian state is very complicated. I mean, the structure, the architecture of this state is very complicated, and it was made like the global structures has a mechanism to control this country. But anyway, this country is made of two parts. One part is Republic of Srpska, which where Serbs live there, and the second is the Bosnia Federation of Bosnia-Herzegovina, where the Bosnians and Croatians live. But they want to take whole control our whole country and to take this what Serbian side have this I mean the mechanism of controlling of this part of country. They want to take from the Serbian side and to unify. They want unification that they can easily control all this country without Serbian factor. This is the main reason. And also the independent Kosovo is not independent. You have the US military base there, which is the biggest US military base in Europe. And they control the economy, we can say economy, because they are just stealing the resources, the gods, the Serbian gods, because it's the part of Serbian land and so on. So this is the main reason, and this is connected to their projects in Balkans. They want to finish their projects because the geopolitical situation is changing very fast, and they understand they don't have a lot of time to finish, to say, okay, it's over, we have independence Kosovo, we have Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Serbians are guilty for everything. We were right because we bombed Serbs. You can see they were guilty for the problems at Kosovo, for attacking Albanians, and also for attacking Muslims in Bosnia, and so on and so on. They are guilty for our special operation Račak and Merkale as well. They are guilty. We were right to organize the coup, the color revolution in Yugoslavia, and so on and so on. So for them, it's important to improve themselves and to improve their right They were right to do this, to bomb the Serb, to destroy the country, and so on. I think this is one of the main reasons. And the second, geopolitically, if we look at the higher level, geopolitically, why is this important, this story about the genocide in Srebrenica? I mean, there was the crime in Srebrenica, but it's not the genocide. And even what is very silly, the Germany was the main initiator for this resolution on Srebrenica. The Germany, which organized the camps in the Second World War, which is responsible for the death of millions of people. So they proposed this so-called genocide in Srebrenica resolution, which is very.
If I'm not mistaken, there was also Rwanda with Germany and Rwanda.
Yes, Rwanda, it was supported by US as well, the France and all this country, which were involved in this, I will say, the creation of conflict in Yugoslavia, creating of conflict in Yugoslavia. All these countries, and of course the countries like they control, the countries where they control governments. And we know that in the past years, it's totally clear that US is pushing the representative in UN how they need to vote. They are literally coming and saying, oh, you need to vote against this, or you need to support this to African countries, to Latin American countries, representatives, and so on. And yes, I will finish with this. The reason in geopolitical level is that they want to create the conflict. This is the basic for them, for this doctrine clash of civilization. It's conflict between Orthodoxy and Islam, because for them, the main enemy is Russia. The Russia is Orthodox country, and it's country which is more important for all Orthodox people in the world. I mean, for Serbian people as well. The Russia is the center of Orthodoxy. So they really try to organize the mass in the Middle East, and then to influence this mass to Russia. I mean, to export this mass to Russia, to create conflict between Islam and Orthodox. Like they did in Yugoslavia, because the main battle, the main fight in Yugoslavia was between Muslims, which are ethnic Serbs in Yugoslavia, and the Serbian, Orthodox Serbian. So this was like experiment for their doctrine of clash of civilization, and now. Why they don't like, because these Middle East countries and the Muslim countries are all orientated now to cooperation with Russia. They don't like this at all. So in this now speaking after 25 years, 30 years again about the genocide in Srebrenica, they wanted to say, oh, you can see we are supporting the Muslims. We are caring about the Muslims. We want to support. Do you remember that we supported the Muslim in Bosnia? But the problem is that when was the war in Yugoslavia? In that time, really Americans and as I said, these global factors, they use the Muslim factor in the Yugoslavia. And they supported them, and in that time, all Muslims in the world, all the Islamic world supported the Muslims in Bosnia, and they have this in their minds. They have pictures. Oh, the bad Serbians, Orthodox, are attacking poor Muslims. They are killing civilians. That was all the time in the medias, and they have really, we need to support them. We need to support this poor people in Bosnia. But if you look at Palestine now, we also have the Muslims attacked by Israel state. But you cannot hear from US and UK, oh, we need to support these poor Muslims. They are attacked by a very bad Israel state. No, they are focused in something what was happening 30 years ago because it was their project. Yeah, the Serbians attacking Muslims, but you are also at the same time supporting the Israel, which is committing the genocide in Palestine, and the Palestinians are under attack. But you stay blind on this. So you can clearly understand these double standards if you analyze these things.
It's very easy, very easy. Which something just came to my mind now, and this is just to finish to say this. They are also pushing the sentence, the punchline, which is that Russia, even the other analysts that are not mainstream there, they say this, the biggest war in Europe since World War II. About Ukraine, of course.
But Yugoslavia.
Yeah, they are just wish-washing Yugoslavia conflict war from NATO, and that was a war of aggression from NATO. And this just first time that I talked to someone about Yugoslavia and Ukraine at the same time, and this just came to my mind.
Yes, you're totally right. I totally agree with you. And the main point here is what these people are doing, these global structures who have the mechanism of global management. They are erasing the facts, they are erasing the history, the culture of people because they don't need this, They are destroying the history, the culture, the facts, the truth, because they don't need this. If we have this, they cannot manipulate, they cannot create some virtual reality. This is, yes.
Yeah, you watch 30 years before, you just see 3, 4, 5, 6 cycle of the same thing happening, or even more. And
exactly.
This is not history. This is,
Yes,
current affairs.
This is why when I think about the history, and I understand that we know just a little part of our history, because I realized that in the time when in my life they falsificate so many things. Then how we can know what happened in the past, in the history, because they're all the time falsificating. Even now, if you ask young people in Europe who freed the Europe from the Nazism, they will probably, someone of them, they will don't know the answer. Someone will say, oh, US or Barack Obama or something like this. Yeah, really, this is the reality. Unfortunately, this is the reality. They don't need the smart people. They don't need good education. They don't need history, culture. It's everything is for them. It's not good. Yeah.
Well, I think we can finish. You almost recite the wall, another brick in the wall from Pink Floyd in this last sentence. There's no better way to finish that than Pink Floyd. Dr. Dragana Trifković, I understand that is your time limit for today. I hope have you again in the channel in another opportunity. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I apologize a lot by all the mistakes I did. It's been a crazy morning and things happened completely wrong, different than what I thought. But
I want to thank you very much, Ms. Marcello. I think it was a very good conversation for me, and I think the people will like to hear what we speak about. And it's for me, it's more likely I like when it's spontaneous. So I think it's good because we are talking about the right things, and we will stay in contact. I would like to continue our conversation and our cooperation. I will be very happy.
It will be a pleasure to have you here as many times as possible. So just remember, everybody that's watching us, to like, share, subscribe, all those things from social media, because if you don't do it, the three-letter agents will do it for you and nobody will see this video. Thank you very much, and I see you in another opportunity. Ciao, ciao.
Yes. Ciao.